All right, man, we're back, and not in a great way. Anyway, let's talk about what I was gonna tell y'all about today. Another top player has been outed for some abusive and now some underage misconduct. Back in the day, it's been 7 whole years since whatever happened between these people happened, but it doesn't matter because I feel like said person is not learning any lessons, and that said person happens to be Wadi. Now, again, I made a whole tweet thread that said if Wadi was able to come back with just substantial evidence that like all the claims against him are lies, then I will delete the video and I will formally apologize and donate 40 subs to his channel or something like that. I don't know. But that's just not what I think we're getting today. So, if you didn't watch older video of mine, this was like a small topic and said older video, but basically there was a relationship that started between Wadi, who was 27, and Juno Gaming Watch, who is 19. And as I said, I think that was already weird. Like that was already weird. Now, I don't give a fuck about I think everyone is too attached to the idea of what's legal and oh, it's okay because it's legal. The age of consent is like so arbitrarily set that I feel like y'all need to stop doing that. You know what I mean? In some countries the age of consent is like 14, bro. So you're trying to tell me that if some shit happened between a 14-year-old in another country and like some 34-year-old, you'd be like, well, it's legal. Like, no, like it's fucking weird, bro. Like, there's no reason a 27-year-old man who like has life experience and like all this other shit should even be like remotely looking at like 19-year-olds. And I'm not saying that it's impossible, and I'm not saying that like every relationship is weird, because obviously there are some with big age gaps that have worked out, but for the most part, especially in this fucking underdeveloped community, it probably is weird. It probably is weird. Like 9 times out of 10, it probably is weird. And I think that when people have suspicion about shit like that, their suspicions are warranted. And if you prove suspicions wrong, then clap it up for yourself, right? Sure, clap it up for yourselves if you're able to prove suspicion wrong. But I will tell you that the most of the times I've seen some age gaps like that, it usually is a power dynamic thing, and that in itself is an issue. Now, there's several other issues that we have with the Smash community, obviously, and I think that like after 2020 and everybody getting exposed, there was a little uptick. I feel like I wasn't expecting to hear what I heard recently, but. And even if this thing is 7 years ago, it doesn't matter. It's still like something that came out and then is repeated actions from person that has now made him the like target today, right? So anyway, to go ahead and get into it real quick so everybody is caught up to speed, this is a tweet longer from Juno Game & Watch. And in this tweet longer, she talks about how they started, which to be completely honest, it was kind of weird. Lines like this, at first I did not like Wadi. He was not my type. He had a lot of red flags, and I hated how he viewed me, which I'll get into. I thought it was cool being friends. I just thought it was cool being friends with Wadi, having a chance to hang out with him in tournaments, because I thought he thought I was cool. So like this part, I feel like it's where a lot of people are getting hung up on. And I feel like this part is the part where people are like, oh yeah, well, you jumped in with him when you didn't even like him. And it's like, okay, yeah, like you probably should have done that, right? But this does not detract from everything else that happens in this. So anyway, so to paraphrase, so she was living with a friend while she was looking for a permanent situation, and while doing this, Wadi randomly came back in her life. This is after Wadi said he didn't want to be friends because she didn't like him like that, right? So he tried to talk to her. She was like, I'm not really feeling you like that. He was like, all right, I don't want to be friends. Then he started trying to talk to Joy, which also she declined, right? And then Wadi so she started like streaming, trying to figure out what she could do with her life. Wadi came back, basically told her that she can move in, he'll pay for everything, all that other good stuff, right? Just kind of coming through, just kind of being a good dude at this point in time, right? Like, and this is after, obviously, like, I'm sure that this is kind of like a more weaker moment in her life, because like she is already kind of home, like having a hard time, like having to live with her friends because like she just got a relationship with another person, like they're, they broke the lease, all that other good stuff, right? So anyway, moving forward, the first couple days were cool, all that good stuff. She decided to live with him. And then like as she lived with him, things just didn't seem as they would be. So the biggest two things that came out of this was that Wadi basically had her moved all her shit in, and then like 2 weeks later he was like, nah, you gotta go. Which is like totally fucked up to like, do all this like chasing and whatnot, to be like, oh, I need you, like come live with me, oh, like I'll take care of you, blah blah blah. And then when you start doing the taking care of, you're like, well, I didn't mean forever or anything like that. It wasn't even close. That's still pretty fucking weird, and like, maybe he had a change of heart or whatever, but I feel like after doing all this and having her move all her stuff in, like this is just a bad time to have a change of heart, right? Wadi goes on to talk about his exes because she's not that sexual, and he's like, oh, my other exes were sexual. You're not being as sexual. And then there's a moment in here where she describes there was a time that Wadi said that she can't go to sleep until she gives him, right? So that happened, and this is like, obviously that's an issue. That's fucking sexual pretty much. And again, like this is all alleged so far. This is all like just what her take on it. And so if you don't want to fully believe it off rip, understandable. I get that, like, it is you always want to wait for the other side of the story. And I was kind of in the same boat. Like when it first started, I was like, damn, this is a lot of accusations, and it's very detailed, but I am going to wait to see what the other person says. I didn't say that like, oh, we got to defend Wadi. No, fuck no. I just want to see what Wadi has to say before I start pointing fingers and saying, like, oh, this guy is the scum of the earth, blah, 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 all that other good stuff, right? So anyway, so all that was being said, then Wadi comes back with his twitlonger, and his twitlonger basically says, well, okay, so like probably about an hour after this twitlonger, he says, she's just mad because I broke up with her. Like, none of this is true, blah, 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 all this other good stuff, right? So after Squirk saw it, I don't even know if he plays anymore, but he was one of the peeps from, I remember him most from the old Xanadu days when we were still in the Xanadu with the green rooms. And Squirk, in Juno's story, she says she had a close friend that texted her saying he knew this was going to happen, and then he offered to house her until she found somewhere to live, right? Not only did this friend house Squirk, but apparently this friend also housed Joy at some time, right? Wadi has now shown a pattern, that this is how he operate, right? Like he's, you're basically like a toy to him. Like, and then when he's done with you, he just puts you down and says, like, I don't care what happens to you, just get out, basically. Because I remember, Joy moving in with him as well. Anyway, so Squirt speaks out and says, but actually that shit was true. He was 15 to 16, and Wadi was 20, and they had a sexual encounter, right? So at the end of this, he says, the whole situation is extremely upsetting and disappointing to hear about. Somebody who was a good friend through the toughest times. He believes, it's very important to support victims in times like this, right? So after this comes out, it's the Wadi pack is up. It's time for you to go. Wadi just deletes his account. Now, I wish I had the Wadi twitlonger. I'm sure that like my editor can put it in the description below so you can read all three. But yeah, like he had a twitlonger, and Wadi's twitlonger is basically, yeah, bro, that's not how that happened, bro. Like this, basically like she's just upset, and I feel like she's besmirching my name, blah blah blah. That's basically what he said, right? And then because of that, like I think because of that, like someone else had to fire back in, right? So that's when Squirt comes in and he's like, yeah, bro, nah, this is all true, right? Because she was in a moment of like a down moment in her life, and you're like, I can do all this for you, like you can live with me, I can pay for everything, all I need you to do is be a housewife. And they agreed on that, like straight up. She has made tweets about that, like, oh, I'm living this housewife, I was made to be a housewife, blah blah blah. So like that part of the story I don't care too much for. It was like, all right, bro, like if that's the way that y'all split up your relationship, and it is what it is. But it's when you split up your, like, it's when the abuse comes in is when that starts to look even more weird, right? Because I think if they agreed on that and Wadi was an upstanding citizen, then I ain't got shit to say, right? Like, I'm like, all right, bro, like if she wants to be a housewife and you just make the money and take care of everything and she take care of the house and that's how y'all decided to split it up, cool. But it's that plus the mental manipulation and that weird sexual act thing that she explained. And like, this is the thing, right? You could have figured all that shit out without her moving in, you know? Like, don't have someone uproot their whole life to break up with them 2 weeks later, bro. Like, that's fucking insane. You know what I mean? And then to use the whole therapy thing is just, I always feel like people say that, like, oh yeah, I got caught doing some fucked up shit, I'm in therapy now. And I'm like, yeah, you gotta go, like, I need to see some real change here. And we didn't expect much from it. So just that, as we quickly go through that, that's what happened with them. And now the reason why I am disappointed, I'm not disappointed in Wadi only. I'm disappointed in the discourse and the backlash around people and their like incessant need to try to play Phoenix right out in these streets, right? Because everyone's like, well, I don't want to just believe victims, blah blah blah, all this other good stuff, because there was that one time that person lied. Okay, like, whilst I don't think that you should immediately jump to conclusions, I think once the info is laid out in front of you, then shut the fuck up. Like, is what it really is. Because I still see people saying like they will always find a way to, like, it's not enough for them. The victim right here is Juno, right? She comes out with her twit longer, very well, I won't say well written, but it definitely is very, very well detailed. Like, as far as like the things that she had to go through. Wadi comes back and he says no, and everyone's like, well, it's he said she said, right? And then Squirt comes back and then corroborates that he was the person in the story and Wadi's past behavior, right? And then Wadi deletes and people are like, we still need receipts. And then we get the receipts and then you're like, well, I didn't see the dates. Well, how do we know that, like, how do we know you just didn't make these? Well, why his name is Chris in one and Wadi in the other. And I was like, bro, what do you need to physically see them interact? Like, did you need a video of them making out or something for you to really believe? Like, why does it take that long? The mental gymnastics to get to that point. Yeah, well, I still don't fucking know. You're fucking lying. Like, you're absolutely lying. Like, it's okay to like have a decent amount of information, form your own conclusion, and then if more information comes out, change your conclusion. Yeah, that's what I said. I made a whole thread that said, hey, bro, if Wadi come back and he has mountains of evidence to be like, yeah, bro, that's not how it went down. And in fact, this is exactly how it went down. And I will exonerate my name. Then you know what? I will apologize. I will gift him and I will do everything in my power to make sure that message is spread that Wadi didn't do it. But we're probably not getting that. We're not getting that, Like, I don't believe we're getting that. And to see people like quote tweeting or tweeting that like, well, I don't know, this doesn't feel like admissible evidence or whatever. Like, what are you holding on to, bro? I was close to a decent some of those people that got like outed, in 2020, and never did you see me going to bat because I was like, unless you have the defense, I'm not gonna just 100% believe you. I can't, Like, I just can't believe you. Like, if you don't have the way to defend yourself, then I can't believe you, right? And so, yeah, I lost a couple friends here, but like, it is what it is. But I feel as though if you want to be in denial, then okay, whatever. Like, as Dumpster Monkey said, he was a fan of Wadi. Okay, you're in denial, cool. Once your denial crosses over to you just deciding to openly look the other way, that's not denial anymore. That's just stupidity. You have all the evidence in your face. Several people in that close circle corroborating this story. The person that should be defending themselves has just fucking disappeared. And after writing the most half-assed twitlonger I've ever seen, and you're still like, yeah, I don't know, man. It's a 50-50. Nah, it stopped being a 50-50 a while ago. Is there false claims out there? Yes. Is the majority of the claims false? No, not at all. Like, not even close. I don't even like, so to immediately always jump to the side of, well, I think you're lying is very fucked up, because I feel like it already took a lot of courage to even come forward for most victims. Not even like, this ain't even just about Juno. This is about like almost every victim that's ever shown up. It already takes a lot of courage to come forward, right? because like you are gonna submit yourself to that. You're always gonna submit yourself to being called liar, saying that it wasn't that big of a deal, and then people telling you base level advice like as if they have lived this life, like, oh, you don't tell us, report it to the police. Dude, do you know how many fucking open sexual assault cases that are stacks and files of them that they're never gonna do shit with? Yeah, I think you should do it in tandem. Like, but if you never go to the police, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, there, as I said, there's just several cases open that's never gonna happen. But I just don't like that. Like, I feel like everyone, you know, you get to this point that like everyone, like when I see that many people just coming through and be like, well, I can't believe her because Wadi's my favorite player or whatever, whoever, these people are my favorite player. He would never do that. Like, bro, you don't know him. You know what I mean? You don't know that person. It's really just a weird thing. And I feel like this kind of goes into the other topic of, I've been seeing, and like, again, like I have no issue with Kiwi, right? But I'm just going to talk about it. We're talking about statistics, right? So statistically, if you look into this shit, more often than not, whenever you see these relationships of very, very old people dating very, very young people, it's never like a loving relationship. It's either like, I'm young and I'm using your money, or I'm old and I am trying to control you, right? Well, Kiwi, obviously, you know, she has put herself out there that when she started dating her now fiance, that she was 16, he was 25, and their relationship worked. And okay, it's still fucking weird, but like, hey, bro, y'all are adults now. It worked, you know. All right, you're like an anomaly. You're like an anomaly in these cases. You know what I mean? So let us stop acting like because your case worked that every case could work, because you can just do the research and realize that a lot of these cases do not fucking work. Exposing that's crazy. I'm not the person she exposed it herself. She made a whole tweet longer about it. So it's like, yeah, it's not like I just, you know, pulled that out and just like outed her. She said that herself. When I was 19 and 20, yeah, no one really said anything about these things. But as you grow up and get older, I'm not saying like clearly, like when I was younger, I feel like I didn't do my part, but I didn't know what part to do. Like I was young and in this community, not really having like an idea of like any of this shit. Like this shit is wrong. Underage drinking, I probably did that. Seeing weird relationships, probably saw that and was like, yeah, that's fucking weird, I'm gonna move on. But like now at my old age of 33, nah, bro, I couldn't just sit by and like watch the same shit that I like done 10 years ago, right? Like I knew, like looking back on it now, I'm like, damn, bro, like I probably shouldn't have been doing that shit. 33-year-old me would never be kept hanging out with 19-year-old me. Like that's just not, no, I've changed, I've learned. You know, and I just don't really see myself hanging out. So like, while 33-year-old me would not hang out with 19-year-old me, that also means I would not be trying to date anybody that 19-year-old me will be trying to date as well. I've definitely at 33, like I've like met people that like I have been interested that have been close to the 25 mark, but even then I'd still be like, nah, I'm pretty cautious, or like, nah, I think that like we live two different lifestyles or whatever, right? So yeah, like pretty much the cutoff age for me would be like 25. And I really like, I'm disappointed, as I said, less with Wadi and more with the Smash scene and their reactions to this, because I feel like genuinely we have moved forward, not by much, because every blow seems to bring us so far back. I think people are more willing to see something and say something now than they were 3 years ago. But when something comes back, because of the history that we've already had, when something comes out, it fucking hits. It rocks. You know what I mean? It sends shockwaves, because like it's like here y'all go again. You know what I mean? Like, oh, 3 years and things haven't changed. And now keep in mind, a lot of this stuff is still, there's like examples of stuff happening as late of or as of like this year, or as of like late last year. You know, the whole thing with Elegant and the 3 or 4 people that came out against him, that was a thing. And now you got this Wadi thing. And whilst it's like more between, you know, there's more time between, because the summer of 2020 was like every day is somebody else, right? But this one, and it has slowed down, right? It's just the fact that it's still happening in general, you know? Like, I think if you were somebody I think if you were somebody who knew that you probably did some dirt, right? And then 2020 happened and you somehow got away scot-free, it's time for you to fucking change, bro. You know? Don't be like, well, they'll never catch me, because like niggas are gonna catch you, bro. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like that should have been most people's wake-up call. Like, oh man, I probably should, you know, reevaluate my relationships with people and see if I'm hurting people, and then also try to like hop on the right side of history here. But that's just not what happened with him. Fortnite, you got a bunch of young kids, but it's all online mostly, right? But the Smash community definitely has a bunch of a plethora of socially inept people, right? And I say this from jumping into many other scenes. I don't really feel like I run into too many weirdos when I'm at a Tekken tournament or, you know, shit like that. But I feel like I run into like several weirdos all the time, or at least people who just can't even like formulate, like they can't like look you in the eye. They can't have a conversation with you. You know, why am I not like socially inept? Because I actually had a real childhood. I fucking played sports and got out the house. Like normal high school shit. Like I went to prom with, you know, and like fucking went on dates and hung out at the mall and shit like that. Like I didn't spend all day in my fucking basement playing Smash. Like that wasn't me, you know? So I'm sure that fucking helped. I don't know, man. Like I think that like, that's like, as much as my parents, like, you know, probably may have stunted like the start of my career by like not allowing me to kind of get into gaming a little earlier, I still have to thank my parents for getting me out the fucking house, right? Because like without that, I may have also been socially inept, socially stunted, you know? But the biggest thing I think that I see from Smash in particular is just if it's not about the game, they don't know what to do. And I feel like that's another thing that I also got out very early. So like I started playing in 2008. By 2010, I was not the type to go back to play a tournament all day and then go back to the hotel to play more friendlies. I'm trying to make friends. I want to know who you are outside of this game. I want to know if we listen to the same music. I want to know if we like the same shows. I want to know all that regular human shit, right? That's not what a lot of Smash players do. And it shows, bro. It shows in several aspects. It shows when you have newer commentators on the mic who can't feel for shit because they have nothing else to talk about. It shows for any fan interaction I've had when someone is like shaking to talk to me. Bro, don't fucking shake to talk to me. I'm a human being, bro. I paid the same amount of money to get here. As I said, like, I don't think I'm going to be going anywhere work-wise. But you might not catch me out. Like, you know, on the floor as much anymore. It's just, and like, this is the thing too. It's like not always the people at the tournaments too, but for the people at the tournaments, there are definitely people who have been on, who've been on Twitter saying, oh, you know, like wait till the other side. Oh, I still don't believe him, even though we got all these screenshots. That will definitely show up to those tournaments. But I just don't feel like I relate, you know? I just don't feel like I relate as much anymore, bro. Like I have my friends that I like to see, but if they're not at that tournament, it's an issue. You might catch me doing my block and then immediately walking back to my room, bro. Yeah, I'm not even checking out the artist alley. But yeah, it's a bit much to read at like the backlash of that. And I feel sorry for the victims of any circumstance, because like, you know, after one person ruins everybody's credibility, right? So you could have 19 people, right, come out with like good stories, right? And then that 20th person comes out with a story and then it's proven wrong, and now everyone's like, well, see, all women are liars, or all victims are liars, right? Basically off of one interaction. And I'm just, it's weird that like y'all will play statistics the right way, you know, when it makes sense to you, or when it's, I guess when it's presented in a way that like makes sense to you, but like you won't play statistics in another way. And that's the statistics of most often than not the person who's coming out with the claims probably isn't lying, you know? And it is what it is, bro. I as I said, I don't think, you know, I'm not really in the wheelhouse of also like pitchforking immediately, but when I read something that's the information I'm going off of until I get other information. I will not be making any tweets until I see like both sides usually. And I waited until three things came out. Four things actually. It was Juno's, Wadi's, Squirk's, and then Squirk's tweets. So, you know, and I was like, all right, well, I think that's enough information for me to reliably make a pretty educated guess here that this person might be doing some fuck shit. Like, so yeah, it's been a weird time. I don't know. I probably got to cut this. I don't even think this is gonna be a video because I kind of rambled a little bit. But if it just does become a video, if you haven't come to the TK Breezy stream, please do so at twitch.tv/TK Breezy. Also, make sure you hit the follow button. We all kind of follows here. I very much appreciate it. Yeah, I'll catch you on the next one. Hopefully, we got good news. Peace.